Hello my dear friends, a very warm welcome to all of you on day 8 of our 14-day SQL-PRO challenge. In today's video, we are going to cover the topic CTEs, which is common table expression. Alright, so now let's begin. Alright, so till now we have covered view, temporary table and the derived table. And the next thing that we are going to cover is the common table expression. Fine. So what we have seen in the view, that view is a table that can be stored permanently. Correct? It can be stored what? Permanently. What about the temporary table? We can store it, but for that particular session only. Okay, for that particular session. What about the derived table? We cannot store it, right? What about the CTE? This is also a table that we will create and we also cannot store this. Fine. Slowly we will see what this CTE is about, why, what is the need to use this CTE. Okay, just focus carefully guys. Fine. Now the next thing is when we can apply this view, whatever table we have created, when we can apply. So we can apply in several cases. During that query, during that particular session, after logging out the session, once we open the new session, then also we can see our saved table under the view. We can apply this table. Fine. So within that query, within that session, and for another session, next session, whenever we want, we can simply use this table which is saved in this view section. Fine. Now what is about this temporary table, when we can apply it? So we can apply it for that current session only. Okay, whatever query we are using inside the current query, inside the current session, we can apply. What this session means, the session where we basically use different queries. Suppose you have to solve 10 queries. Okay, so you will open MySQL workbench and you started to solve those 10 queries. Okay, so this whole 10 queries you have solved and then you have logged off your system, log out from your system. So this is called one session, right? So during this entire session, you can use this temporary table. Fine. Okay. Now, when we can apply this derived or subquery, so we can simply apply it within that query only. Okay. If we have started writing new query, then we cannot use this derived table or subquery, right? So basically, we can use this derived table within a particular query only, right? Fine. Now, suppose we have written a query. These are the code statements. We have written this query. Okay, our main query starts from here. Now this is derived table or the subquery. Okay, then later on within the same query there is a need to use this table again. Okay, later on there is a need to use this table, this subquery again. Then we have to write this whole code again. Suppose we have to put this inside the where clause. Okay, so there is no shortcut, we have to put the whole set of codes again. Okay, so this is the disadvantage of this subquery. We have to write the whole code whenever it's needed. Yes, definitely I'm talking about for that particular query only. And in that particular query, if there is a need to rewrite the derived table, rewrite the subquery, then there is no shortcut. We simply have to put the whole code again. If there is a need to use this subquery 4 times, okay, in a query, if there is a need to use this subquery 4 times, then we have to mention that whole lengthy code 4 times, 3, 4, again and again we have to rewrite these codes. Fine. Now this thing can be solved with the help of CTE. It means CTE does what? It basically make our work shorter. If we are using CTE, if we have created a table using CTE and there is a need to use that table again and again, then there is no need to write the entire set of code. Simply write the name of the CTE. So basically CTE gives us the clean code. We don't need to write the same set of codes again and again. We simply give the table a particular name and then instead of writing the whole code, we can simply use the name of that table, right? So CTE and derived table are used within query. In a single query, we can use them only, right? In the derived table, we have to write the derived table, that codes again and again. And in the CTE, there is no need to write the code again and again. If there is a need, we can simply use the name of that table. That's it. No need to write the entire code. I hope it's clear, guys. And temporary table is about the session. Whatever table we are creating, that we can use for the entire session. And in the view, whatever table we are creating, we can use it always. Anytime we can use it. Alright guys, so now let's begin with our query and see how to use this CTE. Okay, so our first query is to get the total orders per customer. Okay, so how to solve? Firstly, we will create orders per customer table using CTE. Fine, so we have to firstly write this with keyword, and then after that give the name to that table, which is orders per customer. As, and now write the code through which this table can be created. So select customer ID as well as count of all rows as total orders from orders table, and then we will use group by customer ID. These are the codes through which we have created this orders per customer table. What is inside this table? There is a column called customer ID and there is a column called total orders. Fine. Now we want customer name as well. Okay, here it is customer ID. We want customer name as well. So we are going to join this CTE, this order per customer table, with our customers table. Alright, so for that, now we will write select customer name, and these columns will appear in our output window. So customer name column will come from the customers table, as well as total orders column will come. From which table? From this table. So let's give it a nickname called OPC. And now let's define this OPC. So from orders per customer as OPC, correct? As well as join it with what? Customers table C. On what basis? So where customers table customer ID is equal to OPC's table customer ID. I hope it's clear, guys. Okay, now we have to arrange it, okay, in descending manner. And on which column we want to apply this arranging, this sorting? So on this column, which is total orders. So total orders in descending. This is it. Fine. So our target was to get the total orders per customer. So firstly, we have created our CTE. In this CTE, in this table, we have taken customer ID column and the total orders column. Now in our final output, we want the customer name also. So simply we have joined this CTE, this table, with the customer table. Fine. Now let's run it. OPC dot. So here you have your result. Here is the customer name and their total orders. Now people can ask me that we can solve it using other ways as well. Yes, definitely you can solve it. But here my agenda is to get clear with this CTE concept. Okay. So whatever tasks today I will give, you have to solve them using the CTE only. Okay. No derived table means no subqueries or no any other things. You have to simply solve it using the CTE concept only. Fine. So our second query is to get the first order date per customer. So for this also, firstly we will create the first order table, and then we will join that first order table with the customer table only to get the customer name. And through this we are basically understanding that how to use this CTE again in the same query, right? Fine. So firstly we have to create CTE. So for that we have to write with and then give the name of the table. So I am giving here first orders. Now how to define this table? So as, now write the code through which this table can be formed. So we have to firstly select the customer ID, and then we have to use the minimum function because we want the first order date, right? Minimum function on which column? On the order date column. As first order date from which table? So from orders table O, and then use the group by customer ID because we want the customer ID wise first date, first order date, right? Fine, this is it. This is how we have created our CTE, and now let's see how we can use this within the same query. So now we are simply joining it with the customers table. So for that, let's select the customer name from the customer table and take this first order date, okay, from the first order table. Fine. So for first order table, I am taking this F as alias name, F dot first order date, this column. So let's copy and paste it here. Right now we have to mention the table name. So this is our table name. From this we are taking these columns, as well as we are joining it with the customers table. See on what basis? So on where customers table customer ID is equal to the first orders table customer ID. Hope it's clear, guys. Now we have to arrange it in a ascending manner. So F dot this first order date, and this is it. Now let's run this code. We haven't defined F here. Fine. Now let's run it. So here we have our result, and here you can see customer name, first order date. Okay. Suppose if we haven't created this CTE, then what will happen? Then we simply get here customer ID and the first order date. We have created this CTE only to learn the application. All right, this is very easy query and very easy codes. So here you have learned how to create the CTE and how to apply, how to reuse this name within the same query. Okay, this is our main agenda. This query is very easy, very easy. There is no difficulty. Once you will sit and you will try to understand what this is all about, you will say, okay, this is like halwa. This is nothing. You can easily solve it. Okay, but the major agenda behind this is to get the clarity of this CTE. Now, come to our third query. And third query is to get the number of menu items per restaurant. Okay, now for that, what we will do, we will firstly create a CTE where the columns will be restaurant ID and the item count. Okay, the column will be restaurant ID and the item count. Then after that, we will reuse that table, and let's see how to solve it. So first of all, we have to write with and then give the name of the CTE. So I am giving it item per restaurant. As how can we create this table? So here we can simply write select restaurant ID. So restaurant ID is from the menus table. Restaurant ID, comma, now count it as item count, and then from which table? So from menu item table, M, and use the group by restaurant ID. This is the way by which we can get the items per restaurant. We can count basically the items, okay, restaurant wise. Okay, fine. Now how to use this CTE within the query? So for that, we have to firstly select restaurant name, okay, and what? And the item count from this newly created table. From which table? So from this table that we have just created, and then we will use the join. So this table from this table. Instead of writing the whole code, this is the whole code through which we have created this table. So instead of writing this whole code, we can simply give the name of the table here. This is the beauty of CTE. So from item per restaurant, define it with the I, okay, and join it with the restaurant R. On what basis? So on where restaurants table, restaurant ID is equal to the ID. Now arrange it with the in descending manner. So order by item count and in descending manner. Fine. Now let's run it, and here you have your result. So here there is restaurant name and the item count. Okay, these are the easiest queries I have created to make you explain the working of CTE, the fundamentals of CTE. So today practice these basic queries on CTE, and in coming days you will see different level of CTE queries that I will give you as a task. Alright guys, so this is it for this video. See you tomorrow. Till then, keep practicing and take care guys. Bye bye.